same thing with Russia's already doing Ukraine, but what's stopping him from doing it in the Baltics, and Belarus, and Finland as well?
Yeah, no, I agree. Us invading Venezuela, we've lost all the, moral high ground that we used to, yell at the Russians and the Chinese to stay away from Taiwan. It's like, I'm not a fan of intervention. I'm really not. But I know why he did it. Venezuela is challenging the dollar system and, aligning themselves with BRICS. But I do think that it's going to come back to bite us in the ass later.
And then kind of another point why I think I guess you already disagree with, actually you already disagree with the Greenland part, I'm not going to argue on that, but I think the last part was the biggest example, I think most controversial of where I felt he's just gone too far is ICE itself. I don't disagree with the idea that Biden's open border policy was a travesty, allowing millions of illegal immigrants into the United States. However, I think his steps with ICE, creating or at least putting more money into the department, I thought was kind of fine. I definitely didn't entirely agree with that, but I think ICE is taking it too far, especially with examples like Minnesota, arresting people without warrants, and then also on top of that, not having due process for the illegal immigrants or potential illegal immigrants.
Well, you got to understand that the immigration system is completely different from a traditional criminal justice system. If they got an order of deportation from an immigration judge, there is no due process. You're just going to get deported. You've already been ordered removed by a judge.
Without due process, how do you know they are to be deported? Or where is the verification that they are an illegal immigrant?
Where's the verification? They don't have status.
I know, but is that not the point of due process, to verify if they are an illegal immigrant or not?
Immigration is far more black and white. What if you don't have status? You get removed.
But how do they know they don't have status is my concern.
Well, there's a multitude of different databases, immigration databases, that will, identify if someone has status, whether they're here on a visa, non-immigrant, or they're, here on a green card, or they're a U.S. citizen. What's their alien registration number? They have an entire, immigration file, alien file, what's known as an A file. So that's how they know. So if you go through the immigration process and you're ordered deported by an immigration judge, that's it.
Like what you're saying was, whenever they do arrest an illegal immigrant, they do double check whether they are an illegal
Of course,
immigrant.
there's databases that cover all that.
Then like with instances like Abrego Garcia, I feel we should take more steps to avoid situations like that, especially deporting them to like El Salvador specifically. Or South Sudan is another example of where they're deporting them. They're not taking them directly back to their home country, they're just deporting it to either El Salvador or another example like South Sudan.
I mean, they can deport them wherever it is, but the point is that, they have the phrase like, hey, you don't got to leave what you got to get out of here, or you could stay or whatever. Actually, no, I butchered that. The point I'm trying to make here is if they're illegal, bro, they're going to get deported and they don't have status. It's that simple.
And do you not and to you, it doesn't matter how they get deported or where they get deported.
Not really. Don't break the law.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What's up next?
Myron Gaines, you have been going to college campuses and you've been invoking your First Amendment right. I think we can all agree here that the First Amendment is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I think it's an even better thing when people actually use it to say things that they believe. And from the things that I've seen you say, it seems to be the case that either A, you're mentally disabled, or B, you don't actually believe any of the things that you say. So let's talk about these things. ICE did nothing wrong. Alex Preti is the most hot topic. Let's discuss it. I think any person with reasonable intuitions would see what happened to Alex and say that was a state-sanctioned execution. Talked about it.
So your position is that it was a state-sanctioned execution?
Yeah, more or less. Putting it generally, but yeah, sure.
How you interpret it is up to you, but it's legally justified.
How is it legally justified?
Don't commit a felony and then be armed while doing so.
So committing a felony, because you're talking about him brushing his hip, but you know what? He did touch him. I will grant that.
Then that's it. That ends right there. That's the crime.
Absolutely not.
It ends right there. You do
So
not. You cannot. Hold on.
Go for it.
You cannot touch a federal agent while they're in the middle of an enforcement operation. That is a crime under 18 U.S.C. 111, assault and impeding. Can't do that. And to do that and then resist being detained or arrested after the fact while armed is not intelligent.
So what is the use of force continuum then? Because you know that. You work with DHS. What's the use of force continuum?
Well, he touched him. So while he was in the middle of dealing with another individual, he pepper sprayed the guy.
He did.
Tried to grab his hand, get him to the floor. He resisted, and then obviously it escalated from there.
And now at what point, because with the use of force continuum, if you're going to shoot someone in the back, approximately, was it 6 or 10 times, whatever it was, when you do that, doesn't there have to be a reasonable sense of danger? And when a person's on both of his arms and legs with, 5 or 6 ICE agent or USBP agents on him, in what world is that justified?
Justified under Tennessee versus Garner, Graham versus Connor. And these are the Supreme Court justifications for that, because what you're doing right now is what a lot of progressives do when they analyze this stuff, which is you're using the benefit of 2020 hindsight. And 2020 hindsight does not apply in use of force situations for this very reason, because what the officer knows at the time that they use the force is not going to be the same as you sitting here on a debate stage with your 2020 hindsight. So we don't go off of that.
And there's one thing that I've heard you say multiple times, Myron. And that problem that you've got is you're leaving out the third most critical court case that I don't think you've even said to any of the people in this audience. What is that court case? I imagine you know.
Go ahead, say it. What is it?
It happened literally last year, and it was a 9-0 ruling by the Supreme Court. You don't know this.
What court case is it?
You really don't know. Holy fucking
ahead,
shit,
shoot.
dude.
What is
You
it?
don't know about Barnes v. Felix.
So here's the thing. I find it interesting that you're bringing up a court case, quite frankly, when I'm mentioning what law enforcement uses all the time when it comes to what they're taught, use of force, etc.
If you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to create clips like these fast, try Opus Clips. It's smart, simple, and built for creators.